लाइव है. Hello everyone, good evening. I welcome you all to this live webinar on strategy to prepare for UPSC Mains 2025. I am Sajal Singh, the program director of the Show Shot Mains program at Vajiram Ravi. And just after 1 year, so when we were finalizing the date, I thought that we will do it today. The reason being that just after 1 year, we have the next year mains. So we are 365 days away from the mains exam next year. And therefore, it's very important to discuss and finalize what should be our strategy for next year mains, because you can't really wait for prelims कि एक बार हो जाएगा prelims, then we will see what to do for mains. This is the right time, this is the main time for you to finalize your main strategy, because we are left with only 1 year, and 4 or 5 months you will give for your prelims exam. So it's very, very important that you need to decide how will you use your next 4 or 5 months. Right, so that is the reason why we took this session, or that's the reason why we are taking this session. So with me, I have my old student, one of my favorite students from last 3-4 years, Soham Bandare, who is an IPS Telangana cadre, and I have seen him improving his answers over the years, and that's why he is the best person to actually talk about answer writing. So this webinar will be introduced, or it will be divided into 2 phases. In the first phase, I will be talking about the 4 key pillars of mains preparation 2025 and what should be your phase-wise strategy with respect to mains. And in the second part, Soham will be talking specifically about answer writing, that what exactly a good answer is all about, how he used to approach answer writing, how he used to make notes. So all his preparation strategy he will be discussing. So first of all, I welcome Soham. Soham, thanks for coming. Thanks for joining.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Okay. So Soham, I think first part I'll be doing, and next part you will be, sharing your strategy. And I hope a lot of students would be waiting for that how you prepared. And so I'll again call you back after 30 minutes when I'll be done with my part. And also, don't worry, we'll be also doing the Q&A round after this session. So whatever doubts you have, whatever problems you have, you can, do that, or you can ask that in the Q&A round or the question and answer round. So let's begin. So we have also launched the Show Shot Mains program, next batch, the batch 4, which will start from 8th of September. And other than the tests that we also have 3 new things. One is there will be 10 answer writing sessions taken by me, in which I will be discussing the template, frameworks, everything. I'll make you expert on answer writing for every subject. In these lectures, they will be recorded and live lectures. Then there will be also ranker sessions by many of previous year rankers, many of my old students also, discussing their strategy. Soham will be one of them, and there will be many other rankers. Then there will also be a pre-test discussion, offline, online. And in that pre-test discussion, we will be talking about how to break the syllabus of that particular test, what are the probable areas, how to make templates of answer writing, how to introduce, how to write, how to do the conclusion. And then we'll have a post-test discussion where we'll apply those techniques, the techniques that we have taught in the pre-test discussion. And iske alawa, there will be a one-to-one mentorship session after every test, and there will be regular group sessions by me and other rankers. So the scholarship form for that has been just published in the comment box. So you fill that form, you'll get 10% scholarship. So just fill that form. That form will always be there till the end of the session. So fill that form. Now let's start with the 4 key pillars that is required. 4 key pillars for scoring 440 plus marks in the mains exam. So I have divided that into 4 because these are the 4 pillars that has actually worked with a lot of aspirants who have got rank, a lot of my students who got rank. And I'm sure that if you can implement them well, this will also work with a lot of you. So the first key pillar is content building part. If you want to ace mains exam, first aspect is the content building part. Now just imagine mains exam as a war, and when you go for a war, what do you need? You need arsenal, you need good kind of ammunition, because if you don't have good ammunition, if you don't have good arms, then surely you will defeat, you will be defeated in the war, right? So arms and ammunition for your mains exam is your content building part. Now if you talk about the content building part, it has four aspects. The first aspect is deciphering the syllabus into parts using the PYQ. Now, if you see the main syllabus, it's very, very vague. You have just one topic, policies, welfare policies of the government. Now, which welfare policies? Regulatory commissions. Which regulatory bodies? Which statutory commissions? UPSC is not specified, right? So, before you start your mains preparation, the first aspect is you need to decipher the syllabus, because you cannot read everything under the sun. You have to have a smart study. And when we go for smart study, what is the requirement of the smart study? That you need to first decide, this much I will have to study. I'll not go beyond that. So the first important pillar for that is deciphering the syllabus using the PYQs, using the current affairs. And if it's regulatory bodies, which areas will I cover within these regulatory bodies? And within that regulatory bodies, which aspects I need to remember, I need to focus upon for the mains exam, right? So the first thing is you need to identify कि इस syllabus का जो एक macro topic है, इसके अंदर कौन-कौन सी bodies हैं, इसके अंदर कौन-कौन से elements हैं. And second aspect is that if let's say I take any regulatory body, let's say I take SEBI, let's say I take Competition Commission of India, right? Let's say I take ADA. Now, within these regulatory bodies, what are the aspects I need to focus upon to write a good mains answer, right? So, for example, if there is any statutory or regulatory body, like for example, National Commission on Human Rights, National Commission for Women, SEBI, ADA, Competition Commission of India, right? So these are the 5 areas that you need to focus upon for the mains perspective. So when you're reading a topic, you have to first focus upon appointment process. How is the appointment done? Then powers and functions of these regulatory bodies or these statutory bodies. Role played by these bodies, which means the success stories, the failure stories, the areas where they are lacking. Because when you write an answer and says examine the role played by National Commission for Human Rights, how will you do? You have to mention that these are the areas that Human Rights Commission have played an important role. These are the areas where it has not played important role. Common issues faced by these bodies. What are the common issues that they are facing? And suggestions. How can we make it better? So when you study any regulatory body, I'm taking just as a sample to tell you how to approach the mains exam, how to actually prepare content for the mains exam in GS, right? So common suggestions. What are the main suggestions that we can implement to improve the body, right? And second level pay, we need to also mention that which bodies we need to study, right? Because the term is statutory bodies. So within the statutory bodies, these are the terms, these are the bodies that we will study. Or within the regulatory bodies, these are the bodies that we need to focus upon. RBI, National Green Tribunal, National Human Rights Commission, National Company Law Tribunal. And within these bodies, these are the aspects we need to focus upon in the mains exam. That's how we will, prepare the first part, which is deciphering the syllabus into parts using the PYQ. Right. Now we move to the second part, which is finalizing the sources. Once we have identified that these are the topics, if we talk about the main syllabus, GS 1, 2, 3, 4, these are the broader topics that I will have to have content for. Now, the second part is the sources. From where should I study these topics, right? So, any good source which you feel is apt for your preparation, you can use that. We have very good source at Vajiram. You can use that. But the advice that I want to give is that stick to one or two sources. Don't be like you go to the ORN market or wherever you live, and every second day you bring a new source, new book, right? One or two sources. Majority of the rankers, and I believe that Som will also agree to it, that only one or two good sources are required to build up the content, right? Then you go to the third part, which is making second layer of notes. As I've been emphasizing, that mains is a war. To win this war, you need strong ammunitions. And your strong ammunitions are your notes. Whatever sources you refer, your objective should be to create the second layer of notes. I call it second layer because the first layer notes are your classroom notes, right? These are your second layer, more advanced, polished notes. For example, if we take the case of food processing, and you have when we talk about the scope of food processing, so I have used pestle approach here in these notes: economic, social, technological, geographical, administrative. Then when we talk about the significance of food processing, so I've used the stakeholder approach here. How does it benefit the farmers, the consumers, the business? Now, these are the sample from our workbook that we will provide in the mains program also. And these are your second layer of notes, from which you will make your third layer of notes. It's not easy, That's what I always emphasize. Note making is the key. If you make good notes, half a battle is won. And I have not seen any ranker saying that, without making their own good notes, they have cracked the exam. So second layer of notes we will provide you through the workbook that is part of the mains program. Now, from these workbooks and from the current affairs that you will study, you will make these micro notes, or we call as one-pager notes. These are your main ingredients. These are your main support staff that will help you in writing really good mains answers. One-pager notes. For example, this notes of a ranker, if you see, one page may, if you talk about floods, droughts, see, he has taken just a half a page or a quarter of page, and the information that is there will help this ranker to write a good answer if it comes on flood. Why? Because the map is there, which he or she will draw in the actual exam. You have the important data that can be used in the introduction, the damage part, the areas affected, and these are the best practices that will be used in the way forward part. So with this quarter page, enough information is there that a person or an aspirant can write good answer in the mains exam. Take this case, droughts. Again, a quarter page. And in a quarter page, all important information, all value-added information which is required to write a good answer is here, right? So from these second layer of notes, you will make your one-pager notes. Now, if you can make these one-pager notes, that's the key. That's the key. Half the battle is won. Then you have to just apply these notes in the exam, vomit these news. The last session I took with Shushir, IAS, and he also said the same thing, that you have to vomit these notes in the actual exam, and that's how you score well, right? Now see this, these are also the notes of Shushir, IAS, and if you see that, one page mein, all the important judgments required in polity are there. One page mein, see that. Almost 50 judgments are there in one page. So based on the demand of the question, when you have to write the Supreme Court judgment in the answers, you can just vomit these judgments in the actual answers that you're writing, and your game is done. Now let's come to the second important pillar of mains preparation. The first main pillar is content building, right? The second main pillar is, now that your content is ready, the second main pillar is the understanding part. understanding part. Understanding the question. It's important, right? With great content, with great notes, I have seen, and with great content also, I've seen people scoring less marks in the mains exam because they are unable to understand the question. You see a question on, let's say, the women reservation bill, and you start writing whatever information that you have, whatever you have used in your notes. You just, flush that information in your notes. You will not get marks. Why? Because you're not understanding the key demand of the question. You're not understanding the key demand. So second part is the understanding part. So for example, the first important aspect of understanding is understanding the directive of the question. Do you agree? Justify, comment, elaborate, examine. I have actually made one video also of that. It's on YouTube. You can see that. And I have also have one extensive video in the Show Short program on this, where I have explained 25 keywords, because understanding keywords is the key. I mean, if the question says examine and you just write one side and you don't write the other side, you'll get less marks. And then people come to me and say that I've written everything and still getting less marks. Why? Because the question says examine and you have not examined the issue. When you examine something, you have to examine from both sides, positive and negative. Or let's say if the question has a keyword elaborate, there's no need to do analysis. You just need to elaborate the statement, explain the statement, and you're done. Now you're wasting your time in analyzing it. There's no point. You're wasting your time. You could have used that time in the next question, right? So it's very, very important to understand the directive of the question. Very, very important. For example, if you see this question, it was asked by the UPSC. Do you agree that Indian economy has recently experienced the V-shaped recovery? Give reasons to support your answers. Right? Now, do you agree? The keyword is do you agree? When the keyword is do you agree, you have to present both the sides. But whatever be your agreement, whether you're agreeing with it or you're not agreeing with it, you have to take a middle ground, or what we call as moderate stand, or what Buddha called as Madhyam Marg in the conclusion. For example, if let's say, V-shaped and K-shaped recovery are that after COVID, some economists said that we had a V-shaped recovery, which means suddenly, all the sectors have revived. Some said we had K-shaped recovery because only few sectors like IT and, other few have actually, revived, and the other sectors are still struggling. So if you have this question, you have to, and if you take a stand that yes, India has seen a V-shaped recovery, then you have to also mention that, but in order to ensure that this V-shaped recovery continues in the long run, we have to take number of extensive reforms. So you have not completely agreed with it. You have said you have agreed it with caution that yes, it's important, but other than that, other reforms are also needed. If let's say it's K-shaped recovery, you are going with that K-shaped recovery, that no, India has not witnessed the V-shaped recovery. Instead, we have witnessed K-shaped recovery. And then you mention, but in order to move towards V-shaped recovery, certain important reforms are needed. So whatever stand you take, it has to be more of a moderate. It should be more in the moderation. It should be more in the middle ground, right? So that's very important. That if you write, do you agree, and you just mention, yes, India has witnessed the V-shaped recovery, and you have written 10 points, 12 points, and you expect that you will get good marks, you will not get good marks because you have not covered the other side, right? Whether you are agreeing it or you are not agreeing it, but you have to present the other side if the keyword is do you agree, right? So around 30 to 35 keywords are there which UPSC asks in the exam, and every keyword has a different meaning, right? So therefore, if you don't understand the keyword, you're gone. Then understanding the core part. So we are in the second pillar of mains preparation. First pillar was content building part. Second pillar, part was understanding the question part, understanding part. So second important thing is understanding the core and the non-core part of the question. Now, this is very, very important. You must have seen me emphasizing on this core and non-core in many of my earlier videos also, because this is the key. People with similar content end up scoring different marks. Somebody is scoring 440, 430, 420, and somebody is scoring 360, 370, 380 with same content. Reason being that they fail to understand the core and the non-core part of the question. Right? Core part is the main part where 75% of your area should be on the core part, and non-core part is the 25% area. Right? For example, if you see this question, robust economic growth requires a complementation between the public and the private investment. Examine the statement with reference to falling private investment in the Indian economy. Right? This is the question. Now, can anybody break for me, online students, which is the core part, which is the non-core part? So, ultimately, this is the statement, and this is the directive. Statement, and this is the directive. Okay, now understand this thing. Understand this thing, that any statement in a question is a non-core part, and any directive, so this directive is there, examine, is the core part. So the non-core part, we can actually use flowcharts and diagrams, but for the core part, we have to write in points. So if we talk about this question, this first statement, though it looked big, it should not exhaust 20 to 25% of your area. Right? And this part, falling private sector investment in Indian economy, this part should at least cover 75 to 80% of your area. Right? Many aspirants, they make this mistake that they focus more on this part that economic growth requires. So they focus on the importance of public investment, importance of private investment, and it's a 10-mark question. 1.5 pages are gone. Now for the core part, you are left with the half a page. And then definitely you can't expect high marks. So non-core part, let's say I will show you a sample. You can use flowchart. For example, you can say public investment leads to, you can draw a circular diagram, crowding in of private investment, which will lead to increase in production. Because the first statement is saying, it's a theoretical statement. Robust economic growth requires complementation between the public and the private investment. Increase in production leads to robust economic growth. Now, robust economic growth leads to increase in revenue for the government, because when there is economic growth, there is more tax collection, and that further leads to more public investment. So I have shown the complementation between the public and the private investment using this circular diagram, and it took me just what, 2-3 lines to do this. It will take half a page, not more than that. Right? Now half a page may I have addressed the non-core part. Now I have left with 1.5 page for the core part. So that's very important to actually, that's why it's very important to understand the core and the non-core part. Even seasoned players, people who have written mains and interview fail to understand the core and the non-core part. Right? Similarly, the third aspect, application part. So the first part was content building, second is understanding, and third is application. There is no use of content building if you can't apply. Application part is also a very, very important pillar of your mains preparation. That now that you have good content, you can even understand the question, you can break the question, you can identify the core part, non-core part, you can identify what ultimately what are the directives. But now how to use that knowledge to write an answer in 8 minutes, in 150 words, in 200 words. That's the key. So here comes the application part. I would call is one of the most important pillar of your mains preparation. So there are 5 elements in the application part. First, having a template of answer writing for each subject. For that only I'm taking 10 lectures in short mains, because I want you to build a template for you. Having a template for each subject, which means that you should have some kind of method. That if a question comes in economics, this is the method that I will use to generate points in the main body, in the introduction, in the conclusion. For example, in economics, ultimately, in conclusion, you mostly end up with the agenda of the government, that if you take these steps, we'll be able to achieve this goal, be it 5 trillion economy, be it Viksit Bharat, be it Atmanirbhar Bharat. So you end up with a goal. Now that's a template. So if you know beforehand, then in economics, I'll end up with the goal of the government. That makes your job easy, because you don't have to think on the spot what should be the conclusion. You already know that, okay, economics a question hai, so these are the 5-6 things that I have in mind. One of that I'll use in the exam. So that will save your time, because in 8 minutes, you can't really think on the spot sab sochunga. Right? For example, if the question is asked about any economic problem, any economic issue, you have to think from the stakeholder side. Stakeholder side. For example, let's do an application of that. So let's see this question again, and let's see the second part with reference to falling private investment in India. So here you have to explain the reasons behind falling private investment in India. Now, how do I generate points if I don't have specific knowledge about this topic? I will first break it down, just like in ethics. What you do, you actually identify the stakeholders. In economics also, you identify the stakeholders who are involved in this process. So you have the households who are involved in the process. You have the corporates involved in the process of business, of private investment. You have the bank. You have the government. You have the RBI. And you have the foreign investor. Now, these 6 players are involved in deciding private investment in a country. Now, once you have identified the stakeholders, so easy to generate points. You have to just generate one reason from each stakeholder side, and 6 points are generated, even when you don't have great knowledge about the topic. So householders, why they are not investing? Because their income is falling, right? The recent survey showed that income is falling. Why corporates are not investing? Because after COVID, they are facing lack of demand. Plus, they are over leveraged, right? They've already taken a lot of loan earlier. Now they don't have the appetite to invest further. Bank side, NPA problem is there. Banks are not able to, do that, right? So ultimately, that is a problem, that they have NPA problem, so they can't lend. Then from the government side, regulatory cholesterol is there. It's not easy, ultimately the permissions are not being given on the time. RBI side, high interest rate is there, right, compared to the previous times. Foreign investors, there is a global slowdown happening, so they are not investing in India. So therefore, these 6 stakeholders are responsible. So ultimately, you can generate 6 points from here. So any economic issue, if you see, identify the stakeholders, that these are the stakeholders which are involved in that process. And let me now think reasons from each of the sides, right? So this template you can use for any questions in economics. You see the PYQs, and you can use this template, and I can assure you it will be very easy for you to write an answer, right? So for every subject we have templates, and it's very, very important to identify the templates to write a good answer, right? Then we have, let's say this question was asked: growth of e-commerce has huge potential in revolutionizing the agriculture product supply chain. Discuss. I'll share a copy of a ranker who has actually used the template, right? So e-commerce has huge potential in revolutionizing the agriculture product supply chain. Right? So agriculture supply chain ke who are the stakeholders? We have the farmer, we have the warehouse, we have the wholesaler, and we have the consumer. These are the stakeholders that are responsible for agriculture supply chain. Now, when we talk about e-commerce has huge potential, you have to think from these four sides and see that how this topper is used from the side of producer, from the side of wholesaler, from the side of warehouse, how they will benefit, how from the side of consumer. So that's how using that stakeholder, he has generated almost 9 points, 10 points. Right? And if he would have not used this template, he would have just thought about 3-4 points. That's all. That's all. Right? So it's very, very important to have a template of answer writing in the mains exam. Or let's say if the question is asked about any scheme or policy, midday meal scheme, Sarva Shiksha Abhiyan, all the schemes you can club under these areas. These are the 4 issues that we have with every scheme and policy in India. For example, the first issue is at the planning stage. Allocation of fund is not adequate. Nutrition planning is not there. Right? Targeting stage. Data accuracy is not there. There is inclusion error. There is execution error. Right? Then delivery stage pe corruption ki problem hai. There is problem of supply chain disruption. Then user stage pe monitoring weak hai. Accountability nahi hai. Right? So this template you can use for every scheme and policy. Now, just imagine you don't know about the scheme and policy. Let's say any scheme and policy is asked in the mains exam in GS2 and you are unaware of it, that I don't know. Using this template, that every scheme is facing from these 4 problems. Planning stage mein there are problems. Then targeting stage mein there are problems. Then delivery stage mein there are problems. And finally, user stage mein there are problems. Right? So ultimately, you have to, if you have this template, then it's very easy. Even without knowing much content, you can still generate 10 points in your answers. Right? That's why it's so important to have templates. Then ready-made content and structure for most probable topics. That's what we call as smart studying. You can't really study every topic under the sun. You have to decide which topics are important. You have to decide that, okay, these are the 500 topics I feel are very important. And what you need to do, for example, Panchayati Raj, every year they ask a question. Cyber security, every year they ask a question. Land reform, every year they ask a question. So it's important that you have enough content for these topics. You have templates of introduction already ready. If the question comes on Panchayati Raj, I'll start with the article. If the question comes on Panchayati Raj, I will add these 4 best practices. I will conclude my answer with Gram Swaraj. So if you have these templates ready for the most probable topics, then again, it makes your job easy. Because let's say out of these 500 topics, let's say in every paper, if 12 to 13 questions come, then 60% paper you already have predicted and you are well prepared for it. So definitely your thinking time will be less. Plus, since the content is already prepared, the template is already prepared, it will save your time. Even the rank one does not write all the 20 questions with same quality. Mostly 12 to 13 questions, if you can write with good quality, you can end up scoring really good marks in the GS exam. Okay, na? Third, writing as many dimensions as possible. Again, this is a copy of one of my students who got a rank. And if you see his answers, there are, in 10 marker, he has written almost 12 points. And Soham also used to do that. If I can remember very clearly, Soham also used to write a lot of dimensions. His points were short, but it covered all the dimensions. So just imagine this, understand this. Examiner is there. He has 2 copies. One copy has great content, but he has written just 6 points. The other copy has average content, but he has covered 12 dimensions. So definitely a person writing 12 dimensions will be awarded more marks with mediocre content. So therefore, it's very, very important that you write as many dimensions as possible in the mains exam. Okay, na? See this. Then I think, right. Then if you see, I think it's stuck here. Okay. Then, adding X factors and masala in your answers, that's also very important. So, basically, let's talk about Bollywood. So in Bollywood, there are a lot of good stories. I mean, when I was young, I think in school or just after school, I went for this movie called Hazaro Khwaishein Aisi. It was a really, really good movie, talking about the India, the youths of 1960s, how things fell apart and how their romanticism with India got over, at least for some, and how that Naxal movement started. So it was a very good movie. But when I went to the hall, I was the only person seeing it. Why? Because that movie was for the intellectuals, it was not for the masses. And compare it to, let's say, all that, part 1, part 2, part 3 of these masala movies, and they earn like 300 crores, 400 crores. Why do they earn? Because they can attract the masses. Same thing in the answers. You write good content, but you're not able to show that content to the examiner, you'll end up losing marks. So it's very important that whatever you write, you have to show the examiner that you're writing well, you have written these points. So for example, if you're using the keyword pink colorization for questions related to women, you have to highlight it. So when you write an answer, you have to add as many keywords as possible, and you have to highlight that, because then the examiner will understand, yes, you have written good content, right? And you can use some innovative structures like circular diagrams, like graphs, like flow charts, right? For example, if you see this question by one of our students, he has shown this very good circular diagram for the NDMA guidelines, right? So if you use this kind of a good structure, good diagram, definitely you'll get marks, right? So adding that X factor, those keywords in the answers that will get you that extra half marks is very important. That only comes through answer writing practice. And last and the most important, I think I missed it, this should be the first thing. How can you learn the art of application? Through answer writing. Through answer writing. You have to write as many answers as possible. And just understand this, that if you're thinking that after prelims you will start answer writing, you are living in a wrong paradise, because ultimately if answer writing skills is something that takes time to develop. And these are the 4-5 months we have where we can develop and learn the answer writing skills. Because ultimately, you can't write perfect topper level answers in day one. You'll start with something, you'll start gradually, you'll start with mistakes. And then finally, with time, you will improve upon and you will be reaching the topper level. For that, answer writing is important. Because without answer writing, things will not be done. You will not be able to understand your gaps, where you are lacking, right? So answer writing, 40 to 50 tests you should have written by next year, right? So that's also very, very important, because when you do answer writing, that will improve your answer writing skills, that will improve your answer writing speed, that will help you in understanding the question, that will also help you in deciphering the keywords, it will also help you in recollecting the content that you have prepared, it will also help you in understanding the directive. So that's why answer writing is so important. Then the fourth key pillar of mains preparation, which is evaluation and mentorship part. So now that you are writing, you have content, you can have understanding, you are writing answers, you are doing the application part. Now you need evaluation, that whether you are on the right track or not, right? So ultimately, for evaluation also, like these are the 7 parameters that we use in short mains program: content, structural coherency, dimensions, map, examples, committee, and conclusion. So other than that, also there are some 13 more dimensions that we use, that I use when I do one-to-one and when the mentors use one-to-one. So based on these parameters, we analyze that whether you have written a good answer or not. Because it's important, right? Writing something is fine, but writing, the demand of the UPSC is something else. For that, you need a good evaluation, and you need a good mentor. You need a good mentor with whom you can discuss your copy, with whom you can discuss your answers, with whom you can understand your critical gaps. Because here at Vajiram also, the mentors take a lot of time, 45 minutes, 1 hour, to discuss one copy, because it's not just saying ki ha isme extra ek ye point dal do. No, it's not about that. Mentorship is not about that. It's about telling you that whether the whole structure, whether you have problem with content, whether you have problem with other things, whether you have problem with structure, whether with flow, whether with templates, it's very important to identify these critical gaps, right? For example, these are some of the feedbacks of our mentors attended GS1 with XYZ sir, and is very insightful with critical scrutiny of answer content. These are all from the Telegram groups. So ultimately, it's nothing, today I had a session with Shashank Gupta, it was really great. So see this, all these were from our official groups. Now, the second part is the phase-wise strategy for the mains. So after this, Soham will start his part about what exactly is a good answer, how to make notes. So I am talking more about the macro part. He'll be going more into the micro part. So phase-wise strategy for mains exam, right? So if we talk about the phase-wise strategy for the mains program, we have, the first phase, which we can start from 1st September till 1st December. We call it as the first phase. So first 3 months are the first phase of mains preparation. Now, in this phase, your focus area will be on covering syllabus, which is content building part that I've explained in the first part, covering mains current affairs, note making, making the second layer of notes. So I've said in the beginning, right? Second layer and the third layer. First layer are your classroom notes. Doing the second layer of notes and building templates that I've said, that I've explained for economics. Similar kind of templates you will make for each subject, right? Then beginning of answer writing. You will start doing your answer writing. Initially, definitely there will be hiccups. You'll not be writing best answers, but it's important to start. If you don't have content, you can Google it and then write. But it's important to start answer writing, right? Because Rome was not built in one day. It took time. So similarly, your answer writing skills, the polishing of your answer writing skills will take time. Phase 2, partial mains phase. You will start from 1st December till 31st January. So in this phase, why I call it partial mains phase? Because in this phase, you will be preparing both for prelims and mains, right? But major time will go to the mains preparation, right? So in this time, you will focus on revision, you will focus on perfecting the answer writing, and you will focus on building answer writing, one-pager notes. Because one-pager notes, you will not, will not have time to actually make during the phase of prelims to mains. One-pager notes you will make now, right? Now, when we call now in the phase 2. So phase 2 will focus upon revision, perfecting the answer writing, and building one-pager notes. Then the phase 3. After that, you will go to prelims mode. Phase 3 will start from May till August 2025. And these, as you said, that mains is just after 1 year. So in this 3 months, your focus will be on adding the X factor in your answer, revision again and again, updating the notes, because after January, you will be shifting to the prelims mode. So 4 months of current affairs you must have missed. So that 4 months of current affairs you will update in your notes. And finally, practice, and practice. Write as many mocks as possible, right? So this was my part in this webinar. Now I would like to invite Soham. Soham, please, you come and you start your part. And I think you also have great insights to share, because you have cracked the exam not once but twice. Once the first you
Yes,
got
sir.
IRS,
Yes,
and then you got into IPS. So Soham,
yes,
the floor is yours now.
yes, sir. Definitely, it was very enriching session. My memory just recalled the phase, the journey wherein under your mentorship, my score is improved by 51 marks in only 4 GS papers. And that was a deciding factor that provided me a perfect way to boost my score in GS and find my name in interview list first and then in the final list twice. The session was very enriching. I will be adding something which I think will be helping people in UPSC 2025 cycle. So, with the permission of sir, I am starting my session. Just
Yes,
sharing my screen.
yes, you can share your screen.
So here we are. This is how my answers used to look like under the mentorship of Sajal sir. Uh, you can see that there is a proper space management is done, value addition is done. There is a map is drawn wherever required. Flowchart is drawn so that I can address non-core part within limited space and with a good amount of content. These are all copies are written under Sajal sir. Here you can find in third copy that relevant uh, current context is written. That is one way where we write our introduction. One way is to define the key terms. Second is to use data, and third is to write the context, which uh, add different flavor to your answers. So this is about writing perfect introduction. That sir guided me. This is in second copy. You can see the flowchart for known core aspect, and third you can see a proper subdivisions, headings and subheadings, proper sub classifications of your answers. So this is something that is given to me by Sajal sir. In this slide, you can see how proper tables can be drawn to address the demand of the question in limited space, issues and solution. This is also guided by Sajal sir, which I used to implement in a lot of questions. One of the important aspect of answer writing is also good introduction. Here you can see the perfect, concise and clear words I used. That is reformist movement about Sufism and Bhaktism. So this is how under the guidance you can develop your answer writing skill. We are taking one example here. Mostly as you can see, the question is written here that explain the role of geographical factors toward the development of ancient India. This is the last year's questions from UPSC mains. So uh, here, as already said by sir, there are different dimensions to an answer that need to be addressed. So one is demand, second is part, third is content, and fourth is validation. Every part is covered by sir. I just took one example here. Here, what I used to do, there are two key terms. We can say key term one and key term two. Geographical factors is one, and development of ancient India is second. So we need to identify what is the core area of the question. In that core area, there are two key terms. So we can split up this. What are the geographical factors? Geographical factors can be rivers, geographical factors can be mountains, it can be plains, it can be anything, grasslands, passes, etc. In ancient India, it can cover Indian cultural aspects such as different kingdoms and different cultural aspects such as different architectural forms, different types of universities, and all that, natural resources. So this is how we have to split up the keywords. If there is a geographical factors, then we have to think about what are the types of geographical factors that we need to think about. And same goes for key term two. So this one example I just wanted to add here so that people can understand how to split up the keywords. Then sir also covered phase-wise preparation strategies. We will move on. Then one of the important aspect is how to integrate prelims and mains preparation. So here we can see we have to first remember, recall, read frequently syllabus. We have to have in our schedule itself dedicated slot given to UPSC previous year questions. And also after doing that, what happens? We develop understanding about what UPSC actually demands, what are the areas UPSC focuses upon, and after that, we can easily identify what is the overlapping areas, whether it is between general studies prelims and general studies mains. And also, we can interlink that with our optional area. So this is one of the important aspect that we have to understand syllabus, and with understanding of syllabus and previous year questions that what UPSC looking for, we can easily identify overlapping area, and in the last phase we can integrate prelims and mains preparation. Then it is also crucial to have good approach for it while reading. Suppose we are reading some report by United Nations, people may think that this is only important for main stage. But if we know, one year UPSC asked about one statement directly from United Nations report that India is the one of the largest extractor of groundwater. That was asked in the prelims. So we have to have good approach while reading the content, even if it is factual data, even if it may sound that it is more related to main stage. It may happen that the preliminary examination may also involve that particular point in their questions. So open-minded approach is needed. Symbiotic approach, that is, whatever mutual content is there, we must highlight it, that particular content that way, so that while reading for one stage, it may help in other stage as well. Integration of prelims and mains, while we read the current affairs, it happens most at that stage, at that particular area of current affairs. We know that in prelims focused approach, we only focus on the factual content from current affairs. We may miss out the analytical content. If we have time paucity, we can focus on factual content, factual key terms, developments from different areas, and we can skip the analytical aspect. But if time permits, then we can go for analytical aspect as well. Because what happens in preliminary examination, our analytical skills are tested a lot. If you know that out of 100 questions, we can only attempt with confidence that 40 to 50 questions or 40 to 60 questions. Then next 20 to 30 questions, we have to take intelligent guesses. So their analytical skills helps a lot. So if we are preparing from both the analytical frameworks as well as factual framework, then it help us in intelligently guessing correct options in preliminary stage as well. The next point is while attempting the test. Uh, Suppose fo- we are looking for factual content for preliminary examination. That same content can be used as an examples in our UPSC mains answer copies. So while attempting the test series, while attempting the preliminary test series and mains test series, we can use uh, knowledge from one area into the test of other area. Suppose from preliminary uh, examination knowledge, we can use same knowledge in the mains test papers. Then last point is revision. Revision is important aspect of our preparation. We have to give dedicated time for revision. I used to allot 10% time of each day to revise whatever I covered for entire day. I used to allot one day at least from a week to only revise whatever I covered in weekdays. So while revision also, we can integrate prelims and mains preparation. In that sense, suppose we have took some current affairs notes, and in that, while revising, we can subcategorize. We can work on our second layer of notes that sir talked about. Uh, we can edit. We can make separate micro notes out of that. So revision is one of the phase where we can integrate prelims and mains preparation, and we can add value to preliminary stage or main stage. So we are moving to next slide. So this is about how to make crisp notes for UPSC Mains 2025. So first of all, we have to be very good at organizational skills. In that sense, what I used to do, I used to take digital notes. You can take notes on paper as well, but I used to take digital notes. I hope you are able to see what I'm sharing to you. I created a folder, suppose for 2024 examination. This CA folder was for current affairs, GS1, GS2, GS3, and GS4. This used to be my notebooks. In current affairs notebook, I used to take current affair notes for each day. Suppose today is June 20, then I used to write notes for that particular day from newspaper, from whatever sources I am following. Then what I used to do after taking notes, I used to copy that, I used to edit that while revision stage, and used to uh, paste it in mains folder wise, mains notebooks. In mains notebooks, I have created different notes with syllabus points. Suppose this is a note of salient features of Indian society, diversity of India. So if from any newspaper I got some content I have on June 28, suppose I have pasted it here, I worked on that here, then I used to copy that again and I used to again paste it as per syllabus points wherever it is feasible. So this is organizational way I used to do. You can do it on pen and paper as well, but it is crucial that we must be very refined when it comes to organizing our notes, making it short. Here I just uh, put some screenshot that what I used to do. So suppose there is a syllabus point in general studies mains, that is appointment to various constitutional posts, power, functions, responsibility of various constitutional bodies, and there is a CAG, that is Comptroller and Auditor General of India, which is constitutional body. Suppose I got some news in some article in newspaper, I used to uh, copy that, I used to paste it accordingly. So concise notes used to be there. You can again further make it bold, make it highlighted, make it underline. So this is how we have to work on our notes. If our notes are good, then we are able to revise that easily, and then we will be able to use that notes in our actual main stage. So the next slide is about how to tackle ethics and essay papers. So my approach is to create one pager note for each ethics syllabus point, which is to have 5 points, 5 major points. Suppose probity is one of the syllabus point which talks about or which is about which is mentioned in the ethics syllabus. So what I used to do, my first point used to be the very easy and comprehensible definition of that particular key term. So definition used to be first framework point. Second used to be quotes about that, quotes by Indian and foreign philosopher. The short and crisp and attractive quote. So first used to be definition, second used to be quote, third used to be its components, whatever components it is having. Suppose probity is having components such as honesty, then objectivity, then perseverance, etc. So this is to be my third point. That is whatever components it is having. Then fourth point is to be comparative analysis. If how it is different from other keyword. That is, if probity is there, how it is different from honesty, how it is different from objectivity. If there is any content, I used to note it down. And next is to be examples. The examples is most important aspect of any general studies answer sheet, and it is very much important or more important when it comes to ethics paper. I used to take example of 3 to 4 types. One type is to be example from citizens, which shown that particular value. Suppose you can get that from the awards, Padma awards given each year. The people shows different values. You can just take example from that list as well. So citizen used to be first. Second is to be civil servant, IAS, IPS, or other officers, which shown different values. You can take examples from there. Third used to be our ancestors, freedom fighters, philosophers, and fourth used to be world icons. So you can use one to two type of example in one answer, and you can just change the type of examples you are using in next answer to make it more dynamic. So this is to be my 5 point approach in ethics. So you can also take one pager note covering these 5 important points, and you can write any answer, any questions. So next is how to tackle essay. We know that essay is something which is very uh, giving very random marks. People are getting marks in 70, or some people are getting marks in 150. So, previously, essay used to be asked on very general points, what about, let's say, education, health. But now they are turning more philosophical. UPSC is giving quotes. You have to write 10 to 12 pages on one quote. So we should not miss why approach. That is, different dimensions we need to cover. What is, what, how, why, challenges, way forward. These four, five dimensions must be there in your essay. What, in the sense, we have to define keywords. What keywords in the quotes are mentioned? What is the meaning of that keyword? Then next, we have to write some two, three paragraphs about how it is true. Suppose the quote is honesty is the best policy. Then how dimension we have to write established case studies that how honesty is the best policy help people. Then the most important aspect of any essay paper is why approach. That is why this is true. We have to write five to six paragraph about why this is true. Let's take same example that honesty is the best policy. Then why this is true? Why this is the best policy? Then one argument can be being honest. We can avoid any missteps. Being honest, we can. Second argument can be being honest. We can uh, behave ethically. So this type of six arguments, and based on that, we have to write six paragraphs. The next phase, we have to write challenges, why this is not happening, why people are not behaving that way, despite uh, it is true, and how we can inculcate these values in people. We have to write some pointers in that. And this is some crucial and macro points that I wanted to talk about in essay paper. Why is something that is providing more marks these days? If you write decently about why aspect, then we get more marks in the essay paper. How much time to be devoted to the optionals is next slide. So, sir talked about three phases. In first phase, which is mains phase, you can give more time to the optionals, and then gradually you can reduce your time as prelims examinations approaching. Initially, you can either prepare daily or either you can give some days a week. Daily in the sense you can give 50-50 time or 40-60 split up. Suppose you can either do 30-70 split up. Depends on your optional and your expertise in that. If optional is very new to you, it is recommended that you give at least 50% time initially a day for optional, 50% time for GS. Or you can what you can do 2 to 3 days a week. You can give dedicatedly for optional in initial days till you cover most important points of your optional. Then gradually you can reduce it. Suppose I am giving 5 hours a day for optional, then gradually after December I must give only 3 hours a day. Then after March, if possible, 1 hour a day only. So this is the way you can plan your schedule. This is only I shared what I used to do. You can uh, reframe according to your optional and your expertise in that particular option. You can do integrated preparation as well. Suppose your optional have four sections. If any one section is overlapping with GS, which can also help in preliminary examination, then you can use more time to that also. In post prelim, it is recommended or it is advisable that you give most time, let's say 40%, 50% to the optional, because scoring the optional is also important in revision phase. So let's move to next slide. How to overcome inertia that prevents early phase answer writing. Uh, in early phase, answer writing is an intimidating thing. We fear it a lot because we don't know how to write, what to write. It happens with everyone. It happened with me also. Sir know that my score was very less. I used to write very badly in initial days, but improved gradually. So these are two stages. In first stage, we fear a lot. We have inertia about writing, and in next stage, we improved a lot. We improve a lot. Our scores also improves. We get rank and all that. So it is going to happen. So how to make it happen is important. What are the necessary steps? The first step is Start simple. Do not expect you very perfect answers from yourself because it is not possible. Do not run behind perfection, but focus on progress. Gradually, we have to improve our answer writing. So you can start simple. Suppose you have read something, then you can write on that whatever you have read about, whatever knowledge you are having. That area you can focus on. This is one way. Second way, write whatever asked. Do not expect marks. Only have your eye on improvement. Have constructive mindset. Focus on the inputs given. How to uh, incorporate that feedback in your next answers. You can also refer topper copies. In topper copies, you can uh, learn how to write good introduction, how to use flowchart, how to use where to use map, how to generate points. That we are going to discuss next. Third is previous year questions. So here I did one analysis which you people shall also doing. You can create a table in one. In first row, you can write about years 2023. Likewise, 10 to 15 years, it is recommended to go uh, 10 to 15 years back for previous year question. Then in column wise, mention what are the areas that UPSC asks questions upon. Suppose 2022, they are asked upon inclusive growth, its relation from financial and economic growth. In 2023, they asked about economic growth only. V-shaped recovery, that question sir covered. So likewise, you have to do this analysis. What happens in this analysis? You get keywords. Suppose you are writing an answer which is very generic. You can use keywords from previous year questions as well. Suppose in 2022 they asked about intragenerational and intragenerational equity issues in inclusive growth. They then asked about uh, PM Jana Dhana Yojana, unbanked institutional finance. This type of keywords you can get from previous year questions. You can directly use in your answers. So this type of analysis of previous year questions, different areas. The first area was about Indian economy. Then you can see agriculture here, cropping pattern, integrated farming. This type of keywords you get from previous year questions, and you can also understand the area, important area for you, what UPSC is asking. You can also understand pattern that UPSC is focusing upon. Suppose this is the last area of your syllabus, that is disaster. In disaster, they are focusing upon recent examples. Last year, they asked about dam failure. Then before that, cloud burst. So this type of analytical understanding you can develop by analyzing your UPSC previous year questions. So in early phase answer writing, these previous year questions can give you some pointers, give you some good keywords to use. The next is work on feedback. Do not focus on marks in initial days. Marks are not as crucial as working on your feedback comments that your mentor, your evaluator is giving. Then timetable integration, you can give dedicated time slot to write an answers so that you will feel compelled to write something. Suppose you have planned some 4 hours for reading, 1 hour for revision, then allot 15 minutes separately for write. So if you plan accordingly, then you can execute that. So timetable integration is one of the area which will help you to overcome the inertia. So this aspect is covered by Sir beautifully. Then we will discuss some templates, how to different frameworks can be used for generating different points in answers. So different frameworks. I used to follow three types, three ways through which uh, different points can be generated in your answer copies. Suppose the first is process approach. Take example, if question is asked upon agriculture, anything, and you have to generate points, then you can think from the process framework. What process happens in the agriculture? First is preparing the land. Second is uh, sowing the seeds. Then third is watering the land. Fourth is taking care from different threats. Fifth is post harvest management. Then sixth is consumer uh, supply chain. So This process happens in the agriculture, and you have to generate any point. You can just visualize the entire process, and from different sections of the process, you can generate points for your answer. Second aspect I used to follow is syllabus aspect, syllabus approach. Macro points from syllabus are like, first there is history, then there is geography, then there is globalization, then there is polity, then international relations, civil services, economy, then science and technology is there, environment is there, security is there, defense forces is there, ethics is there. So these are macro syllabus points. You can also go deeply into that. And if you want to generate some more points, just I'd recall the syllabus. What are the points in the syllabus? So that points also guide you to generate different points. Then third approach is stakeholder approach. That sir also discussed about. Whatever stakeholders in that particular theme is there, we have to identify them. We have to work on them uh, for generating points. These are the different frameworks for answer writing that I used to follow. How to make incremental gains in the quality of your answers. I already talked about. Do not run behind perfection. Run behind progress. Incremental gain is the only way to get good score. So that different aspect that we have to write a lot. We have to have constructive mindset. After writing, do not expect to get all India rank one like marks from your copies. But be ready to work on your negative weak areas. Focus on quality. In initial days, what you can do. Uh, Generally, we get 3 hours to write one general studies paper. You can forget about time. Just focus on quality. Just in initial days, try to write quality answers. Time management, we can prioritize that later, but quality shall comes first. Try to learn how to write. Try to learn to write quality points in your answers. This shall be our priority. Then last is go slow. Do not expect any random uh, results. Just be realistic so that you shall be empathetic with yourself, with your preparation. We are all humans, so incremental gains is the only way. The next is in good versus bad answers. Sir also talked about that. We have to address demand actually, space management, different dimensions. Sir talked about. I used to write a lot of dimensions there. Then add-ons such as examples, real life examples shall be there. Uh, the analysis which I shown to you, this type of table you can do. In one column you can write syllabus points. In next column you can write examples. That examples you can get from newspaper or internet. So this is add-ons, key terms, examples, data, committees, judgments. This type of one pager notes we need to have with us so that we can write good answers. Answer writing speed increase. It comes with practice. After learning to write quality answers, we can have stamp. Suppose the question is 10 marker. We have to write 12 points. So to write six, it shall be 6 plus 6. If it is two-part question, if the questions is about asking reasons for something, and question is also demanding you to write way forward. So reason shall be 6 points and way forward shall be 6 points. So if you get 7 minutes to write 10 marker question, it will take 1 minute to read the question carefully, then write introduction and conclusion, 20, 20, 20 seconds each. And remaining 6 minutes, you can divide that into 3 plus 3. In 3 minutes, you have to write 6 points. In next 3 minutes, you have to write 6 points. So 6 points of reasons, 6 points of way forward. This type of micro planning with timestamps. So if that's timestamps are guiding us, then we can write in more speed. The structuring sentences, that is learning to write the same content in less words. This comes with practice. So this is about this some points can help you to write with respect to your answer writing speed. So this is from me. So thank you and best wishes to everyone. So I request Sajal sir. we can shift to
Yes.
question and
Okay.
answer
So
session.
thank you, Soham, for this insightful
Thank you, sir.
inputs that you have provided. And I want to point out that his answers were not, I would say, topper level answers from day one, and neither his strategy was like that, right? So ultimately, you need to understand this, that you are not born as a topper. It's like if you talk about Gandhiji, right? Gandhiji was not born as a Mahatma. He actually improved his skills, and that's how he became Mahatma Gandhi. So nobody is born as a topper, so you don't feel that at this moment if you're writing something and when you compare that with rank one answer or any other topper answer, you don't think that ultimately I don't have in me, right? Because it's answer writing is a process that takes time, and you need to have consistency, plus you need to have what we call as certain smart strategies, because you end up 16 hours a day and not actually focusing on the key demands of mains preparation. That will not help you, right? So now we also start with the Q&A round. So if you have any queries, any questions directed to me or Soham, you can ask. And also, I would like to again announce that we have launched a new batch, Short Short Mains, and it's starting from 8th. And there is also a scholarship form that is there in the comments, so you can fill that and avail that. So, any questions? You can ask about optionals. You can ask about in general. So I think there are no questions from the viewers. I think we have addressed everything. So I think thank you, Soham, for coming for this session, and I hope aspirants who are watching this session might have learned a lot of new inputs. So thank you and best of luck for your service and for your future life. Thank you.